Thank you so much for tuning in and welcome to this Creative Challenge Adobe Illustrator edition. I'm Izzy, brand designer from Ottawa, Canada, and today we have a really cool tip in store for you. So we will be designing some futuristic posters using a technique that not a lot of people know about. It is a well-kept secret and it's going to elevate pretty much anything, like all of your designs. It could be posters like what we are doing today. It could be social media. It could be like publication, whatever your heart desires. This trick can be really fun to use to add to your designs. So let's go to the presentation that I have prepared for you. You can also access this presentation in the files that is provided to you. So let's look at what we can create. So futuristic shapes just like this one. In the examples that you're seeing at the moment, I'm using the ellipse tool, but you can basically do it with any shapes that is available in Illustrator. In order to do so, you will need to just be acquainted with your keyboard a little bit. So either you use the tittle key, and if you are a Mac user, I can guarantee you that these here won't work, but the tittle key will work. If you're using a PC, I think that both keys will work for you. And just so we know where we're going, this is the type of design that we are looking to create. I mean, how fun, right? Like, this is so cool. And people will think that you have spent hours into designing those shapes, but really it's going to take you seconds. Yes, you heard that right, seconds. So let's go to Illustrator, and I have the file that you can download to design along with me, and it's going to look like this. So this is a pretty standard poster size, so 11 by 17 inches. And you can see here, I have provided some copy for you. Copy means copywriting, some text essentially. If you wish to use something else, feel free to put whatever your heart desires. It is completely fine. I wanted to have a creative quote and something that had kind of a futuristic saying, but also that was just accessible to everyone, that everyone can understand that design reference. So here I would say that this is the main quote, which I'm just going to move up a little bit. And this here is the rest of the copy that we will be playing around within this poster. So the first thing that I want you to take notice of is this here. So in order to make sure that you're seeing all of the shapes, so let's remove that fill and let's make sure that the stroke is at the front, and we will be just choosing a nice color so we can see what we're doing. So let's select here, I think a nice turquoise. I'm feeling like turquoise today. Let's select that. And then we are good to go. So right now I have my star tool selected, but I really feel that for this specific shape or this specific effect, that the ellipse tool is the best. But I'm going to show you what it looks like with some other shapes as well. So I'm just going to zoom in onto my artboard a little bit, just so I can show you. So without me holding any keys, either the tittle or the less or greater than key, I'm just designing a simple circle. Nothing cool is happening, right? So let me just delete that. So, but if I actually hold on to the tittle key here and I draw an ellipse and I just move my mouse around, I can create some very cool shapes. I'm just gonna do something like that. Oh, I actually lifted my finger on the key before it was done, and I actually lost my full progress on that. So let me start that again. That was actually really good that this happened. So I'm making sure I'm holding the tittle key. And that's what I like about this. I can never recreate the same shape twice. Okay, now I made sure that I was not clicking or like gliding with the ellipse tool before I lifted my finger on that key. And as you can see, we have a very cool shape. And again, people will think that you have designed this one by one. I mean, you technically did, but just in a very efficient way. So in order for this to become an object, right, I would just group it, because or else all of the circles are individual and that can become very messy. So let's make sure that everything here is selected, and I'm going to do Command G to group it. Now I want to show you what it does, but using the rectangle, because it also does a cool effect. So again, holding down my tittle key, and I'm just going to glide around and have fun with it. I mean, I'm going to go big here and then go small. Just, there you go. So I have this big shape. I mean, how cool is this? Again, going to select everything and group it. Now I want to make sure that this is the star of the poster, and the stroke is only 1 pixel, which can be a little small. So I'm just going to select both of the groups here that I have and just go to 2 pixel. And to me, that does the trick that I want. So let me do this here. Then I'm gonna put it outside the artboard, and whatever happens outside the artboard stays outside the artboard. Someone once wrote that in an Adobe Live chat, and I thought, I love that. And this is so true. No one will ever know, right? So let's do the same with the star tool, because it's not reacting the same as the ellipse or the rectangle. I think it's because instead of starting to a point, you know, where the rectangle, if I go back here, when we start here, it starts from a corner, and when we have the star tool, it actually starts from the center. So it's going to react a little differently for that effect, but it's still really cool. So if we use this, and again, holding on to the tittle key, see what it's doing? I mean, how cool is that? And there is so much that we can do with this. I'm just going again and group this. All right, I mean, if we look at this, if we look at all of the shapes together, my favorite is definitely the ellipse one, so I'm going to work with it, but I want to have a few options. So quickly, I'm just going to create a few more. So let me do this. Some will be a little more minimalistic. Just going to group that again. Some will be really intense, like this one. I just want to make sure that I have a good variety. Like so. And again, go nuts. Because this is not something that is calculated. There's a lot of designs that needs to be calculated. And for this specific function, it doesn't have to, which is great. So we have this. I want to have just something that's like maybe longer. So again, woo. And sound effects as you're making these is definitely welcome. Like I just did, like wow, like that. Can't believe I just did this on Adobe Live, but hey, that's okay. All right, so let's group this. This is a very good one, actually. Okay, so going to just put that aside, and I just don't want to get mixed up into my shapes. To me, the star does not reflect the futuristic style that I'm trying to achieve for those posters. So I'm just going to delete it. The square could technically, and you know what? I'm going to try it. So I'm gonna just keep it just a little further outside the artboard. And I'm going to keep this also outside the artboard for now. Okay, so now here we have this text that we want to be working with. So here, like I said, this would be the main header, so the main quote. So this is what we want to have a bigger focus on. So I actually did a lot of work for you ahead of time and I found a really nice Adobe font that is futuristic, that has a lot of weight and will definitely draw the attention. So if we go here, right now it's just at the typical Myriad Pro, but just making sure that your text is selected. If we go to Zoom here, and then we go to black, we have this wonderful font. I'm going to make it black. And black here, if you're listening and not watching, well, black is not the color, black is the thickness, but I also wanted it to be in the color black. So if I bring this here, and this is a long quote, so I'll have to just do a bit of typesetting in order to make everything fit properly. So as you can see here, because I had my text already there in the document and I created my shapes after, my shapes are now in front of the text. So if I click on the text and I go to Object, Arrange, and Bring to Front, I have just fixed that problem. We will be doing that again a few times within this poster. So here, I want to copy this. Oh, actually, Wild Mind and Disciplined Eyes should be, Wild Mind should be together. I was gonna separate that, which is not what we want. So this here makes sense for how we divide that quote. Now, to me, I see a lot of posters like this that is just a one line, and I want to break that up, and I think it would be good to do is a like so, Wild Mind with one word. Also here, we can look at the spacing between the text that we have here. So here, often it's, yeah, if it's automatic, there's a lot of spacing. But again, I feel like this is like, we don't want that much spacing. So we can just go here and just hold our mouse and do minus, just make that smaller. I feel like this is good. Now I'm going to do the same with this one. Is a disciplined eye. Usually I don't like to have orphans. Orphans would be one word on one sentence, but in this case, it's totally okay. And see, I actually have a space right here that I don't want. I want to make sure everything is aligned properly. Here, I actually had the old spacing. So I want to make sure that everything matches. So what you can do, you can actually select the text, use your eyedropper and click, and then it actually has the same settings as the text that you're happy with. So here, because I actually want to put it at both opposite sides of the poster, I want to do a justified or align to the right. I'm going to be putting it right here. And as you can see, there's some spacing between. That's just because we had it in a full sentence that needed a space between the words. But now that it's typeset like this, we don't anymore. So this is good. I want to make sure that this is just a tad bigger. So I'm going to select everything and just slide it, make it bigger like that. And I am happy with this. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring that up a little bit. I'm going to group this, and I want to make sure that this is aligned properly within the poster. So I'm going to use the align tool, which is my best friend. So here, center, and then center on the other side, vertical align or horizontal align. And here we have a perfectly centered text. So I'm happy with this. Now for the rest of the text here, I'm going to select everything again. I have made some work ahead of time for you, and my all-time favorite font for everything, I even use it in my personal brand, is Elsa Text, which is also an Adobe font, which we will change this. There you go. Let's do bold. Actually, let's do regular because we already have a bolded font. So just having something a little thinner will work well. And so with the Zoom font for this here, it's already all in caps. And I want the same thing to be all in caps for the rest of the copywriting of the poster. So if I click here on the more options, the 3 dots, I can see here that there's a all caps tool, which has been a lifesaver a few times for me. And here, if we click on that, all of the text is all in caps. And I also want this to be in black. Okay, that's definitely too big. Just making it a little smaller. Okay, so here the quote is by Dorothy Parker, which I'm going to align. And this is a good rule of thumb. If you want everything to look nice, if you align it with something else, it's going to look good. So I am going to do Command R just to see the rulers, so I can have some guides here to help me align everything properly. And this is definitely too big. I want it to be just kind of a small detail, even though it's copy. So I want to just lock my guide, so I can actually select my guide here and do Command 2. Anything I say that has a command, it could also be Control on a PC if you're working on a PC. So here, and I can make sure that it is properly aligned like so. Okay. And here I can see that my text is bigger, and I want to make sure everything is the same. So again, I'm going to use the eyedropper, and as you can see, everything is now the same size. So I want to flip this around. So in order to do this, as you can see, I wanted to make sure that it is a perfect line. So if you hold your Shift key and then you just turn this around, it's going to be that perfect 180 degree, like so. And see how I have some guides too that are helping me, making sure that everything is aligned, and it is perfectly aligned like so. And I want to say design quote and poster. Just gonna bring this here. All right. And I just want to make sure that it is all aligned. You could also use the ruler for that, but I used the align tool in this one. So I like how this is looking so far. It's a little different than what I have done in the document, but I like changing it up and just seeing what the design can become. So now I'm going to group everything. I'm actually going to remove the guides because they are in the way. So I'm going to unlock, just delete them. Delete, delete. And I'm going to select the full text, group it, Again, just to make sure that it is perfectly centered. If anything has shifted while I worked on it, I'm going to align it. Oh, and it did. And there you go. It was already vertically centered perfectly. And this is already perfect. I want to make sure that everything is at the front because I want the shapes to be at the back, and I want the shapes to be kind of caressing or elevating the copy that we have. So I'm going to use the rectangle tool, create a shape. I'm gonna choose a kind of an old paper color like so, and I'm going to send it at the back this time because this will be the background. And now everything should be good to go for you to add your shapes. And look at that. Look at how cool that is. If you want your shape, your background rectangle to bleed a little bit, that is totally okay. Sometimes I do that so I'm sure that I'm not missing like any small pixel of color, just making sure that everything is good to go. I'm just going to make that smaller, just like play it around. But if you want to test out your design, another trick that I absolutely adore in Illustrator is going to view and then trim view. So then you can see how everything looks without it bleeding on the side. And if you want to see, to go back, you just go view again, then trim view. It's gonna undo. See, I actually don't like that shape here. I want this. Maybe it's in both corners. And let's see how that's looking into the trim view. And the cool thing too is that you can actually move it around even in trim view. So you can really have a good idea of what everything is going to look like. I'm pretty happy with this, but now I'm actually thinking, I don't think that turquoise is the right choice. So I'm going to select this. Maybe have like kind of an old red, like so. And I just want to see how is this going to look if it's white. I don't hate it. If I put the background just a little darker, I don't hate this at all. It's definitely missing just a little oomph, like a little texture in order for me to be happy with it. So I'm going to go to File and Place, which you have a noise texture in your file as well. I'm just going to go and find that. So if I do place, that's okay. You just click OK. It's just saying that the poster is in CMYK, but this is in RGB. I'm just going to make sure it's covering the full poster. I am still in trim view, so I'm going to undo that, making sure that the image is selected. Here in the properties panel, if I go to opacity, I can actually have some blending mode, which is awesome. And for this one, I'm going to go to multiply. So by doing this, now I have added some texture to the poster, and look at how it's looking. This is a very good, I'm very happy with this. I hope that you are as well. And let me quickly show you what you can do. You can have fun with color, and look at how fun. And it's crazy how the color can change the whole vibe of the posters. So I highly encourage you to just have fun, play around, maybe even change the shape. Actually, let's do that quickly. What if we change the shape? If we go back here, I'm gonna go back to trim view. I'm just going to lock that texture that we have. I'm going to put the rectangles instead. See? I mean, it's still super cool. It changes the whole reading. But how fun is that? But yeah, I highly recommend you to try it out, test it out, have fun with it, and I can't wait to see your results. Thank you so much and see you next time. Bye.